or ISIS subscribe to, but what ISIS and Al-Qaeda are speaking about is core Islamic doctrine, the obligation to wage jihad until the entire world is under Islamic law. That's as fundamental that's as core a doctrine in Islam as there is. As a matter of fact, the entire purpose of Islam is to eliminate all places in the world where Sharia is not the law of the land, so that Sharia becomes the law of the land in the entire planet. That's the purpose of Islam, as stated by all Islamic doctrine. So when people say most Muslims don't really subscribe to that, what you're telling me is you expect me to believe that most Muslims don't subscribe to the very thing they say they subscribe to. Look, I'm not a brilliant man, but that just doesn't make sense to me. So that's the first part. The other thing, have any of you seen the Ami Horowitz video from the Cedar River neighborhood in Minneapolis?
Yeah.
Well, there's your answer. Regular Muslims on the street saying, of course we want Sharia. You've got the recent Pew poll saying, I don't remember what it is, but the majority of Muslims in America say, of course we want Sharia here in the United States. You have polls in Europe showing well over 70% in England and Germany and France and Belgium and Sweden and Switzerland of the Muslims say we want Sharia, and a large portion of them say, and violence is okay to use to get it. So I don't know. I don't think you need a whole lot more of information. The last thing I would say to you is this about that question, and then if I can make a closing comment, but in Islamic law, it's a capital crime for a Muslim to teach another Muslim anything about Islam that's not true. And in Islamic law, it is obligatory for Muslims to lie to non-Muslims when the goal is obligatory, like jihad. So if you want to know about Islam, you can't ask a Muslim if you want to be professional and realistic about it. If you want to know about Islam, you read what they teach one another when you're not around. And when I teach law enforcement about Islam, that's what I use. I use the books that they most commonly use at the Islamic centers and Islamic schools, and we teach out of that. And when you teach, what you get is what ISIS and Al-Qaeda are saying. That's the problem. So they're just biding their time until the day comes. And there are plenty of historical examples, including in the last several years, certainly in the last 2 decades, of Muslims, Hindus in India, whose next door neighbors are Muslims, and they will share with you, yes, we're good friends, and we used to have little get-togethers together. Our children played right up until the time the Imam told them to kill us, and they came to kill us, and we had to escape. That's what you're dealing with. That's what Islam is. So that's the reality of the threat we're facing.
Yeah, we have a large Chaldean community here, right in our southeast Michigan. Assyrian Christians, Coptic Christians. So yeah, we've heard some of the horror stories firsthand of living with Muslims. But if I can wrap up, John, your book is your latest book, Raising a Jihadi Generation, which we'll post on our website for everybody to take a look at, along with your website, which I've sent out I think 3 emails announcing your being with us, and we've got a great group of people. I can't switch the laptop around to show you, but we got a great group, about 70 or so good patriots here tonight that were anxious to hear what you had to say. And before we part with you, I was perusing through your website, and I saw that you did an interview with Ellen Combs back in December. Yep. And I watched that, and I was writing some notes down, and he mentioned that, and he was kind of going back and forth with you a little bit, and I don't know how you kept your head on from exploding or going after this guy, but he says, oh, come on, John, CARE's a moderate organization. How can you say such things as that? So you kept your cool, and you just were very professional, and you're not going to change a man like that, and that's what we have to deal with. You know, even here in Michigan, we've got people that it seems they just don't want to do their homework. So, and how do we get you to come to Michigan? Have you ever been to Michigan? to talk, or? I know it takes money. You don't travel for free.
I don't believe I've been to Michigan.
Maybe we can get you to talk to the Dearborn police staff. Are you familiar with Dearborn?
Oh, yeah, it's
okay.
Stand.
Dearbornistan, yeah. And we've got Hamtramck now. So, I mean, for you to come here, so what? We'd have to talk to some of our sheriffs locally, Macomb County, Oakland County, and say, hey, we can get this guy to do a training course. Is that the way we got to approach it to get you in?
Well, so let me leave you with these kind of final thoughts on that. Yes, but the strategy is you don't bring me to Dearborn. What you do is you look at a map. This battle has to be waged at the local level. And the two most important people groups in this battle are sheriffs, because they're most powerful law enforcement officer in the country, and pastors. So if just 10% of pastors pulled their heads out of their butts and started speaking truth boldly, then there would be a wave of change, I believe, in the community. So I'll leave it at that without breaking off on a tangent. So what you do is look at a map and look at the counties. And look at counties where you have good sheriffs and good populations, which normally go together, who are open-minded to the truth, and not a whole lot of the threat activity going on. And then what you do is we start doing training in those counties. And then you get them up to speed, and maybe you get two adjoining counties to host a training because you got two good sheriffs. And of course, as you know, while we're in town doing the 3-day program for law enforcement, in the evenings we'll do public presentations, we'll do dinners with the sheriffs and key leaders that they invite, things like that, very quietly, to make sure they understand the threat. And what you do by doing that, you start building counties that get it, and they start implementing the strategy of getting local elected officials, prosecutors, citizens, pastors to get it. And you identify, dismantle, and punt out of the county all these jihadi organizations. You start building strongholds around the state. And the sooner you get to work on that, the sooner, the safer you'll be. And you surround areas like Dearborn and Detroit with good counties like that, because I am aware that there are good counties in Michigan.
Oh, yeah.
But I can't coordinate at the ground level this. That's something has to be done. Good people have to do that. And then what you do is you do start talking to those people. And I want to highlight something from that last story about Alan Combs. When you run into people that don't get it, give it your best shot and move on.
Yeah.
There's 340-some million people in America. I think we can probably put together a good number of them, maybe not even the majority, that will get it and are willing to do what needs to be done. You know, during the Revolution, it was less than 30% of Americans were for going against the British. So defending liberty is something that's not for the weak or faint-hearted. And there are probably good people in the room that don't want to take up the endeavor, maybe, pardon me if I'm wrong, but that's okay. Maybe they can support in other ways, and maybe they just would rather not. My guess is, since they're in the room, they're all in. But you have to that's the strategy. Start identifying places like that around your state. Somebody in the room is in one of those counties. Dearborn's not the place to begin. No. That's the place kind of that you isolate, and you get people around the state to understand this, because the battle's coming and the battle's here. You know, you've lost Dearborn, I believe.
Yeah.
To get Dearborn back, it will be a bloodbath. That will be a fight. That will be a real gunfight. And when they come out of the woodwork and start really launching the jihad around your state, if you have these areas where police are trained, where your National Guard is trained, where people who are prior military and law enforcement are trained in your community, where citizens who have skills like medical skills, communication skills, technical skills, start coming together and preparing for the day and start helping law enforcement and helping them with research, showing them how to do research. I mean, there's so much we could be doing to help the law enforcement in those good counties. That's where it needs to begin.
Well, your website is just filled with information, and I just glanced through it a couple times, but all the Muslim Brotherhood information, the PDFs and information that you can download, and all the videos that you've posted, and the books and DVDs. Yeah, if you were to go through everything that your website provides, you'd be an expert just like yourself. So yeah, we're going to gear people towards your website for sure. And yeah, we will start that process of trying to get good sheriffs in maybe a little bit smaller counties than Macomb or Oakland, and maybe start with them that are out on the fringe, like you say, where I think they are a little bit more receptive or willing to listen. So that's a good idea, to start a little bit smaller, stay in touch with you, of course, and let you know what we're doing. So we will be in touch again. If you don't mind, I'll send you an email on our activities as we proceed, and maybe one day we can get you into Michigan before, like you say, all hell breaks loose.
Well, and I think that's good. The other thing I might advise is, if you're going to start this up, there probably one or two people from your community there or in your group should consider going to the Train the Trainer program. There's no other program like it in the world, and what it is a week-long program that is a deep dive where you live, eat, breathe, sleep this stuff. And the focus of the program, it's a very small group of people, no more than about a dozen, and you are in a very, what I would call, an intimate setting that's a secure location that you can literally, with people that I believe are the best in the world on these topics, spend time with them over a period of a week to learn a deeper understanding of the problem, how to articulate the problem, how to defend against common attacks that come, the kinds of things that come, and then learn to teach people about the strategy and how to make it work at the ground level. This is critical. The next one we're doing is in August in Arizona. So it's something I would at least consider as you all in your group are looking at the road forward.
Okay. Thank you, John. I appreciate it. Thank you for spending time with us this evening. Thank you for your many capacities that you serve this country. We appreciate that very much. And everybody, let's thank John with a warm welcome. Thank you. So thank you very much, John. We'll stay in touch. I'm going to be sending an email somewhere down the road saying, hey, we're making progress. And thank you for giving us a good, swift kick in the pants and waking us up some more. And we'll continue the fight. We'll keep the fight, that's for sure.
And God bless you.
Yeah. Thank you, John. Take care and have a good evening. We appreciate it.
God bless you.
All right. Thank you, John. God bless.
Good night.